Hey beautiful people, I can't believe I'm sitting down to make this video. It doesn't really seem real, it doesn't seem like reality, but it has officially been, this month marks 2 years that my husband and I have been dealing with infertility. At the beginning of this journey, this wasn't something I intended to share or thought about sharing, but the more I went through it, the more tests and surgeries and just unanswered questions I've had, I wanted to share it with you, be more outspoken about it in case you're going through the same thing. Because as I've learned, infertility affects a lot of people and it's way more common than you probably think in some way, shape, or form. So I have been vlogging a lot of my experience on my vlog channel with my husband, but I decided to do a video here on my main channel to kind of just cover this whole 2-year journey that we've been on. But before I get started with that, I have a very exciting sponsor for today's video, and that is Modern Fertility, which I've heard so much about. I've been really interested in trying. So I'm gonna be sharing with you their home hormone kit, and I'm taking the test and I'll be sharing the results with you. So let's start there first so we could see if we get any new details that I could share with you in this journey. It has been over a year since I got blood work done at my doctor, and when they tested it, I'm pretty sure they were just checking to see that I was ovulating, and pretty much that was it. At least that's all I was made aware of. So that's something that I really like about this. I'm gonna get the results myself. I could share it with my doctor if I want to or if I need to, but they'll also help me interpret everything so I actually know what everything means. Here I have my Modern Fertility kit, and I'm gonna do my blood draw myself at home. You can go and get it drawn if you choose to. I am also on day 3 of my cycle, which is when it recommended that I do this. So let's open this up. Okay, so I've washed my hands, watched the instructions, got started with everything. So I have the little card here, and all I have to do is prick my finger with the finger prick and then put it in the box, and I have to fill out 2 of these. And once the blood starts absorbing, it needs to go to this first line. So it comes with a little alcohol swab for your fingers. I hydrated before, and you also have to fast 8 hours, so it's best to do this in the morning. So you just want to press it until it pricks your finger, hold it for a second, release. You have to wipe away the first drop of blood, and then you just let it drop onto the card. You don't want to touch your finger to the card. So here goes nothing. First ever finger prick of my life that I've done on myself. This is a little different. Ooh. Okay, wipe that away, and then I'm going to let it drop onto the card. If I did it myself, you'd be so proud. What is it for? All right, so I was able to do both cards with 1 finger prick. It really helps a lot to warm up your hands beforehand, and also you really want to angle your arm and squeeze down your arm, your hand, and your finger, and it really helps the blood come out a little easier. And then you stick it in to this envelope here and mail it right back to them the same day. The kit also came with some gauze and band-aids for your finger, which is great. And I'm gonna get these shipped out, and I'll see you guys back once I get my results in. All right, I just got an email this morning from Modern Fertility, and I'm so excited to check out my results. So I'm just going to click to log in. Let's test my hormone levels. Everything looks normal, which is great. Okay, let's see what other info we can find. So my AMH, which is a hormone produced by the follicles in my ovaries that surround each egg, normal. FSH, hormone responsible for follicle growth, egg development, and estrogen, normal. PRL is a hormone that stimulates milk production, so I don't think this would really apply to me because I'm not breastfeeding, but that is normal. TSH is a hormone produced in the brain that signals to the thyroid to produce other hormones, normal. E2 is a form of estrogen, normal. And LH, which is a hormone produced in the brain that regulates your period and ovulation, normal. Oh, so this is cool. So all those things we just went through, they break it in to what it's pertinent to. So some of those were for the ovarian reserve, ovulation, and general wellness. So I like how that breaks it up here. And then if you want to learn more about each of the things it tested, you could actually go in and read more about it. But it looks like I have an average number of eggs for my age. I might reach menopause around the age of 51, which is interesting because my mom actually reached menopause, I would say, pretty early. This just checked another box that I am good, I am healthy. So just to kind of stay positive and not to dwell on it so much. And I'm also glad to do it because I haven't had my blood drawn in over a year. So now that I got to try out the kit and put my mind a little bit at ease, because this journey is something I have definitely stressed about a lot, let's start from the beginning. My husband and I first got married on October 7th, 2017, and just pretty much a month after that, right after Thanksgiving, I noticed that my period was a little late, and it was about a week late by the time I noticed. So I was like, well, I better get a pregnancy test. And I was pregnant.
Nuh-uh.
Grandma,
You're pregnant?
are you really pregnant?
Nuh-uh.
Oh,
Super.
Yes!
I
I
really
will.
don't even know what to do. I knew it. Woo, I'm a grandpa. Oh,
Mom's crying.
nuh-uh.
Oh,
grandpa.
we really weren't trying at that time, so it really was completely unexpected. And unfortunately, it ended in a miscarriage. So I think it's time that I've kind of come to terms to everything. We're doing good now, and I just want to, I guess, share my experience with you guys, what I've been going through this past year. After several doctor's appointments, several blood tests, several ultrasounds, all of that, I actually had a miscarriage. My miscarriage actually was a missed miscarriage, so I didn't miscarry on my own. I had to have a D&C, and after that, they thought I might have had a molar pregnancy. What they found was my HCG levels, which is the blood levels in your body that kind of detect, it's like the hormones in your body that detect when you're pregnant. If you're not pregnant, they're 0. After the surgery, after I healed and everything, they were still extremely high. They were like 30,000, 50,000, which should not have happened. It should have been very low after the surgery, and it should have been working its way down to 0. And then once it reached 0, my body would think that I was no longer pregnant, and then it would start to go back into a normal cycle. They told me that I might have a molar pregnancy, and that was the reason my HCG levels were so high still. And the doctor told me a molar pregnancy is extremely rare. And if you've never heard of it, you could definitely Google it and learn more. I'm definitely no doctor. But basically with that molar pregnancy, it means my HCG levels would just keep skyrocketing and going crazy, and it would basically spread to the rest of my body. And it was treatable, but through chemo. And you don't need radiation, so luckily most people don't lose their hair through it or anything like that, but it is treated through chemo once it spreads to the rest of your body. After that, I felt like it took a little while for my body to just get back to normal between my D&C, which I had extremely heavy bleeding and blood clots after for quite a while. And I also had to get blood draws every week for what felt like months. And it was at least for 3 months that I had to keep getting blood drawn. So I was about 10 weeks when I found out I had a miscarriage. And this all happened in the first half of 2018, getting all the blood works, all the doctor's appointments, surgery, stuff like that. So moving along to June of 2019 is when we finally decided, okay, we're gonna start trying again. Now, it just made sense in my mind that because I originally got pregnant and we weren't even trying, that now that we were trying, it would be so easy. And that was the furthest thing from the truth. So the first couple months we just winged it. I used like my Clue app to try to somewhat time it. But then about at the 6-month mark, I started using ovulation kits and really tracking compared to before just trying to somewhat time it. And at that point we reached the 1-year mark and nothing. So that was when it's typically time to go talk to your doctor about infertility. So I went in, blood work was fine. The next step was to get an ultrasound, which turned up a polyp. Basically, I have a pretty large polyp in my uterus. I don't know where exactly it is, but a pretty large polyp, which he said is normally benign and not to get worried about it. So trying not to freak out. I know I've been like looking it up now, and I guess it's a small chance, like only a 1 to 2% chance, I guess, of being cancerous. I'm just so nervous. So it's a fairly large polyp. I am probably going to butcher this name. I had a polypectomy to remove it. And again, had to be put to sleep for that, which I hate. That's probably my least favorite part about this whole process, all the different operations and surgeries, and I'm absolutely terrified of being put under any kind of anesthesia. So I had to get that removed. I got to see pictures.
They showed you?
It took up like 1/3 of my uterus.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Not that much room in there.
No, it's probably like this big and it took up this much.
Goodness. Did they let you keep it in a jar?
No. They have to send it away to get biopsied
Gotcha.
for cancer. I should hear by Monday or something. My doctor thought that that was potentially a huge reason why I wasn't getting pregnant, because it was taking up such a large amount of space. However, something I wanted to share and hopefully maybe make some of you aware of is I actually did have a lot of signs that I had a polyp, but I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was normal. So between my miscarriage and then like getting off of birth control, I was on birth control for so many years that I just figured it helped my periods. And now that I'm off birth control, my periods are very heavy. But that's actually not the case at all. A lot of that was caused by the polyp, because as you move, the polyp gets rubbed against, is my understanding, whether it's by the lining of your uterus, and it causes you to bleed more. So TMI, but this might be really helpful if it happens to you. If you're bleeding abnormally a lot, like my periods will last about 8 days, and on the heaviest 3 or 4 days, I was just excessively bleeding. I use a menstrual cup and I was emptying it multiple times a day, like 3 to 4 times a day, when normally just like emptying it once or twice a day is fine. So it was just a lot. I was bleeding through my clothes a lot. It was definitely a sign. And now that I have the polyp removed, let me just say it's been night and day. My cycle is now only about 4 to 5 days, which is like night and day from before, and it's extremely light and probably what it should be. So that was a huge sign about that. So that was August 2020 that I got that removed. So now we're in July, almost a full year since I've got it removed, and still nothing. So a couple months ago, we started on the testing again, and my thought process was, okay, if this polyp is creating an issue, let me give it some time after the polyp has been removed. And that's what my doctor recommended as well. Give it a little while, give it like 6 months if you feel like waiting that long, and see what your body does now that the polyp's not there to interfere. And about the past 2 months, Andy and I started going through testing again to knock off the rest of the test we need to get done for the next steps. Because if you're going through the infertility process, there's certain steps you have to do before just jumping straight in to say IVF or an IUI. So the next step was for Andy to get tested. I mean, hello, common sense. But I've read anywhere from 30 to 40% of the time, it's actually the male contributing to the infertility. And as a male, the testing is so easy, it's so cheap. Here I am doing like more invasive procedures, and you know, his test was very simple. So he got tested. It was only about $45. So it's like, why not get tested? And all his testing came back normal. So the next step for me, which I did about a month ago, so June 2021, was an HSG test. And that is to look at your fallopian tubes, and basically they insert dye into your tubes while you're awake. You go through an x-ray and they make sure there's no blockages. And oh my gosh, such intense cramping. I actually like made a noise because it just, you go from like not hurting, just feeling a little bit uncomfortable because you have all these like instruments in you, to like, I was like, oh, but then I just started sweating profusely. I was pretty close to passing out. I am a bit of a baby, but it was really intense cramps. The good thing was my fallopian tubes looked just fine. So at this point, between my blood test again from Modern Fertility coming back great, and all my other tests normal, Andy's test normal, we're really trying not to stress about it. And a lot of times after an HSG test, for the next 3 months, you're more fertile and more likely to get pregnant. If there's any mucus or anything in your fallopian tubes or ovaries, it kind of like flushes them out, if you will. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed at this point for that. And they typically say you have 3 months is kind of when your fertility peaks a little bit after that test. So I'm on month 2. We'll see if anything happens this month. And then I think next month, coming up on month 3, I am going to make another appointment with my doctor, because at this point it's been we're going over 2 years now. And it's just kind of crazy having my miscarriage when I was 23 and now I'm 27 and nothing has happened between those 4 years in total. So I don't know. I'm trying to get the ball rolling. We do want more than 1 kid, hopefully. So if we have to take other options, I would rather do it before we get even older and it gets harder to conceive. So I'm going to talk to him about prescription medicine like Clomid, which can help you ovulate, which I don't have a problem ovulating, but it can help sometimes get pregnant. So I'm going to talk to him about maybe some kind of infertility prescription medicine. And if not, I think we're going to maybe consider an IUI, which is kind of a step before IVF. It's a lot less invasive, a lot less medicine and injections and hormones, and a lot less expensive. So we might try that first. My insurance actually surprisingly covers a few rounds of an IUI. So at this point, that is where we are. This was kind of a long video. So if you made it to the end, thank you for watching. Hopefully you're not watching this because you are going through the same thing, but if you are, you're not in this alone. And if you want to take your Modern Fertility test, you could get $20 off, the link below. But I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you real soon. Bye.